Welcome back. You've been watching Wisconsin Family, and we've been at Noble Night Games in Fitchburg on Commerce Drive?
Commerce Park Drive.
Park Drive.
Right underneath the water tower.
Yeah, just look for the water tower. I actually noticed that, and what an easy landmark is that.
Absolutely.
All right, it's been really fun having our guests and meeting everyone here today and seeing your new store. Joining us is Dan Leader, who's the general manager here at Noble Night Games. And Naomi, what's your position here?
Customer service manager and operations manager.
Excellent. Thanks for having us here.
Of course, thanks for being here.
So, your new store, and maybe new to some viewers as to a business, can you tell them what Noble Night Games is?
Absolutely. So Noble Night Games is we have the largest selection of tabletop games in the world. And so some games that, if you're not a gamer, that you might be familiar with, some classics would be like Monopoly, Catan, Risk, Ticket to Ride. We have over 700,000 games in our warehouse and over 20,000 in our store. And we carry games, virtually every new game release that comes out in the United States we carry, and then we also import games from all over the world. So we've got an awesome selection of games here, and yeah.
That is pretty darn incredible, right here in our own Fitchburg.
Yeah, how cool is that? And yeah, I am old school, being an old guy, so I love hearing about Risk and Monopoly and stuff like that. That kind of gets me going. But speaking of things getting going here, you guys have some events that are coming up, don't you, Naomi?
Well, we just moved into our new building. We're really super excited about that. We had our grand opening, gave away probably $5,000 worth of prizes, a few hundred people. We had food trucks here. There were some paint and takes, a lot of events for playing games, as well as a live military demonstration, which was very fun to watch.
What's a paint and take?
Customers will come in, they'll select a little miniature that they want, and Tony down from from the Warhammer store showed them how to actually paint miniatures and doing things like highlighting.
Are those game pieces?
You can use them for game pieces, yes.
All right,
Miniature gaming is a big genre that we have.
All right, you can tell I'm not a gamer. All right.
We'll change that.
So you used to be in Janesville. You made this big move. This is what, 45,000 square feet that you have here?
That's correct.
Really amazing. What made you decide to move to Fitchburg?
So Fitchburg and Madison in general have such a great gaming culture. So in Madison, there are so many local game designers that are in the Madison area. We have a major game distributor, ACD Distribution, which is in Fitchburg. There's a print-on-demand game printer called the Game Crafter in the Madison area. Just recently, over the last six weeks or so, there's been some major conventions in the Madison area. So Gamehole Con was at the Alliant Energy Center. We just had Wizard World at the Alliant Energy Center, which is a big convention. Those both drew thousands and thousands of people. So there's such a great culture in Madison, and we think that we can really add to that with our selection, with our customer service, and with our brand new store and play area.
You know, I think it's kind of interesting too, you know, if I just watch TV or like follow my son who's 18, you know, it's a lot of video games for him and Fortnite and, you know, a lot of this kind of stuff. But it's not all that in the gaming industry. The tabletop games and the board games are booming right now.
Absolutely.
Why is that? I mean, you know, in what seems like an ever-changing technology world where things are getting more and more advanced and the VR goggles and all that, why is it tabletop and board games booming?
I think there's two main reasons for that. So one is absolutely technology. People are yearning, everybody's got a cell phone and they're looking at it all hours of every day. And so I think people are yearning for interaction with their family and friends. And so gaming is an activity that they can do and does that. So gaming is so intellectual. You have to cooperate with your players, you have to strategize. And so it's such a great activity that you can do with your family and friends. And then the second reason why I think it's booming is because a lot of stories and genres that have been in gaming for decades are coming out in the mainstream now. So you look at like HBO's Game of Thrones, it's absolutely huge. You look at movies like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, The Hobbit. Those are the Marvel movies that seem to come out every 3 months.
I'm even thinking just even thinking just Big Bang Theory, where they're referencing some of these games
absolutely.
too.
Yeah. So these reasons, I mean, another example is Joe Manganiello was on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert a couple months ago, and they talked about Dungeons and Dragons for 9 minutes. 9 minutes on one topic. And so this reason, you know, this mainstreamness of these topics is another reason why the industry is booming.
I think some people have maybe thought that there's a stigma to folks that are gamers. What do you think about that?
I think there used to be. I think there still is to some extent, but I think those barriers are being broken down. I really think that there is a game for every age. In our store, for example, we've got games for 2-year-olds to kids to teenagers to adults of every age. There's games that are easy to learn. You can learn them in 30 seconds. There's games that have 100-page rule book, which you can play for years. So there's really a game for every interest too. So if you're into quilting, there's games about quilting. If you're a science teacher looking for games about science to teach your kids, there's games about science.
Wow.
If you're into science fiction, for example, there's games about science fiction. So there really is a game for every interest, for every age level that you can play.
And Naomi, is that where you come in when folks come in and say, I have a sister who's really into quilting, do you have a game?
Oh my goodness. Trying to pair customers with the games that not only that they will find interesting, but something that will be long lasting, or even games that have expansions, because so many games come with expansions now. But pairing somebody with the correct game, it can be a science.
I would think that you have a really important role. I mean, you said that you have the world's largest selection of tabletop games. We need you.
Yeah, especially when the database can be a little tricky when you have to be precise about what you want. But when there's so many games out in the market, finding the right one for the right people, it can be a challenge, definitely.
I wonder if it's a challenge for you to even keep up, because there's got to be new games coming all the time.
Yes.
There are. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We have to keep an eye on the top 100 lists.
Yeah, and so
closely.
on that top 100 list, maybe even top 10, what are some of the hot games right now that people are really getting into?
Sure. So Dungeons and Dragons is a big game that's been
Still hot?
It's been
I mean,
out
that was
for-
hot,
like when I was a kid,
Came
yeah.
out in the '70s, but it's
Yeah.
really been booming with all the hype on it.
They're into 5th edition now.
Wow.
Yeah, so D&D is big, and then board gaming in general. There are so many new releases. So board gaming in general, there's a big game called Gloomhaven, which was really popular this year. What are some other games that?
Talisman just had
Talisman,
a reprint. There's also the new Game of Thrones game, miniatures game that just came out. That one is huge in the market. Then you have your classics, which are getting reprints like King of Tokyo. There's all sorts of kids games that are coming back out. Candyland, I think, just got a Willy Wonka reprint. Seemed like that took long enough,
Okay.
but yeah.
I liked Battleship.
There's Battleship upgrades too. Like you can get a Battleship that talks to you now.
Oh, it's gotten fancy.
Oh yeah, very fancy, very, very fancy.
Very cool. We got about 30 seconds to try and wrap it up here. So give it more reasons to come to Noble Knight Games.
Absolutely, families should come here. We have events every evening. You can learn to play Pokemon card games. We've got a games library filled with things that you can try out before you buy it. Also, not only that, you can come in and we'll show you how to play any game you want to learn.
All right. Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet
Thanks
you.
for having us.
All right.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you letting us host our show here today,
course.
too.
Interesting stuff. Beautiful story, guys.
All right. Well, that's it for Wisconsin Family today. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on 57, your home for local.